Welcome to the Queer Compass. I'm Luis.
I'm Eric, and we're your two gay besties.
And we're here to talk about lifestyle, career, pop culture, and everything else. Yes!
Really what I wanted to say was, do you think Tate McRae really is the next Britney Spears?
Okay, I don't know if she is. I think she's definitely trying to give like early 2000s pop girl. And I'm honestly here for it. I hope she keeps it up.
Yeah.
I really appreciate what she's doing right now. So we'll see.
And the way she stylizes her vocals so that she's able to dance really hard.
Yeah. Exactly.
And still sing live is like really nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
I do too.
She's good. She's good.
Yeah. So we are talking about Britney Spears' memoir, The Woman in Me.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my! Okay. I read it in like 3 days.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I listened to it on the road trip, so I didn't read it. But
so easy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's great. What a great alternative.
Yeah.
And I listened to the tail end of it because I was traveling. I forgot my book. I listened to the tail end of it. Michelle Williams did a great job.
Honestly, yeah, a really good job. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. I knocked it out on my drive to San Diego and back.
So it was shortly after conservatorship, which ended at the end of 2021. She announced in February of 2022 that she would be writing a book, signed a deal with Simon and Schuster.
Which is my birthday, by the way.
February 22 is your birthday?
February.
Oh my God.
Not 22, but February.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was like, February, I was like, okay, she's coming out with a book. I was so excited when I heard that. But yeah.
So we had to wait a long time, about a year and a half. The book came out in October of 2023. Was received well.
Yeah.
It was great reviews. I would say like about half of them were considered like rave reviews. The other ones were considered good.
Okay.
No like slashing reviews. There were no like, terrible reviews. It was received well.
Yeah.
Her streaming numbers sort of were like
amped
up before and after the release, kind of around that time. Yeah. Of course.
I mean, I definitely was like, oh my gosh, and started listening to her music again, especially after listening to it, just because as you go through these stages, she is talking about some of her, big hits, her albums, like the process of it all, even like getting into Glory and what that time of her life was like and how she felt with that album. So like it does kind of make you, as a Britney fan, like it does kind of make you want to listen to that and kind of, it's like the nostalgia mixed with like now you're putting together what she felt in that time when you're doing this.
Like when she references these mile markers, it's like, I kind of remember like what my life looked like. Yeah. I remember thinking, I wonder like if she's having fun right now. Like throughout the time, I'm like, she might have lost the fire in her eyes a little bit at this moment, or she's giving more here, but not as much here. I wonder what's happening behind the scenes, and she sort of addresses like a lot of what I had. Questions. Of course, I have like more questions,
and I think a lot of us as fans. One, like everyone kind of saw that transition, I feel, of like when she was really in her moment of feeling music and then when things started to change. So I think a lot of us had questions, right? We're like, what's happening behind the scenes? And then all of a sudden she disappears for a while and people are like, where is she? And then there's the movement of Free Britney. And it's just so crazy once you do dive into, or when she dives into like what was going on behind the scenes. Yeah. Because she really has not ever been one to speak up like that, right? So for her to just be like, you know what, this is my moment, I'm gonna tell my entire side of the story, because so many other people have told their side of the story throughout her career, you know what I mean? Yes. But like she has never.
So the book kicks off and she immediately talks about like the background of her family growing up, her great grandma and grandma who one of them lost a child, I can't remember which one. And she, I think, committed one of her grandparents or great grandma. I think grandma committed suicide on her lost daughter's grave. She had mental health issues and was prescribed lithium and like pretty intense, what I would consider rather intense. And
which is crazy to know that, like, that she was prescribed lithium and went through all these, like, mental hurdles and, like, things like that. And even Britney in the book says, like, well, the Spears men were always known to be, like, bad news. Yeah. And then she kind of starts putting some blame on, like, her grandma or great grandma, whichever it was, the spouse, right? Like, the husband. So it's kind of like, we're obviously I'm not saying that, you know, it's fact or anything, but it is such a kind of crazy thing to hear and to learn about her family and her background.
Oh, yeah.
Because then she essentially went through a similar thing, just heightened because of who she was.
Right. And like, as she's talking about her childhood, the puzzle pieces start to fit together very early on in the book when she's
100%.
talking about being 13 and going and like drinking with her mom and like
Yeah.
smoking cigarettes at starting the age of 14 and like.
And I think, yeah, and it is so interesting to even see like the start of when Jamie Lynn came into the picture and how different that was. Like, Jamie just never, it was such a different upbringing. You know what I mean? Like, Britney was the one providing for her entire family. And then Jamie came in and was, I mean, not to, you know, but she did come in to a comfortable situation and life was so much different for her. And I'm not saying that she didn't have her moments or like that it was necessarily always quote unquote easy for her, because even Britney says like, well, she had parents who just were never around or never there to really, like, all the focus was on Britney because she was Britney and she had to be the star. So you know, there's that, but also, girl, Jamie Lynn, she really did not put her in a good light.
No, I mean, after this, I was like, I don't want to read Jamie Lynn's book, but I would love to know what she had to say. What does she have to say?
I mean, in general, when she was coming out with that book, I was like, girl, absolutely not.
It was terrible. It was terrible
timing. And just like, oh gosh, it was really, really bad. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And her mom's memoir too.
I know.
Like, it was just terrible timing right around 2007. Yeah. The family dynamics were tough. It was tough.
And it is really hard because that's one thing that I just could not like fathom or could not like grapple with, because like she was out here basically like secluded, taken away, like removed from everything. And her family's just out here like profiting on that story.
Yeah.
Like, to put a memoir out while your daughter's going through all this stuff, or your sister's going through all this stuff, or like, you know, like that to me is just mind blowing.
Right.
I'm like, so you're just gonna sit here and write this side of the story while she's tucked away and you guys won't let her leave?
Right.
That is so, I could not wrap my fingers around that.
Yeah.
It just blows
awful.
my mind. Yeah.
She goes on to talk about early teens being in the Mickey Mouse Club. Very lightly, like, she'll name drop throughout the book. But very lightly, like, I consider the Mickey Mouse Club thing rather iconic. There were very big stars that we know today that were in that group. And she doesn't glaze over it, but like, I think it's way more iconic than she made it sound.
I agree. There's so many like big names that came from there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what a crew.
I know. I'm like, Disney, like the Fame Factory. Like, what
Literally.
what's going on over there?
It's so wild.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
She met Justin Timberlake during that time.
But I know that for sure, like, they at least became friends on the Mickey Mouse Club, right?
Right.
And then they started dating later, I'm assuming. But, but yeah, it was kind of interesting to see that develop because they were also iconic in their time. You know, like, everyone was talking about Justin and Britney. But kind of, I just didn't realize the depths of their relationship.
I had no idea how much in love she was with Justin.
Right.
Like, I didn't know they lived together in Orlando for multiple years. I mean, obviously we did not know that she got pregnant by him.
Right. Yeah, that part was crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I felt so the book, like, it just, there are moments in the book where I was listening to it, right? So I was like driving and I was listening to it and I was like, I just could, like, it was so intense.
Yeah.
Emotionally, you know what I mean? Like, for somebody to go through any of that.
And around that time in the book, she does acknowledge and recognize, I think she's proud of how well Baby One More Time did. I think she's proud of how well Oops, I Did It Again did. She talks about how much fun she was having, going on tour, making the music, spending time in the studio. Like, and again, when we were consuming that music at that time, I felt that feeling from her as well in her television performances, in the music videos. I could feel that, hey, this person is having fun doing what they love. I'm loving listening to it. I'm loving consuming this.
Totally.
And it was great to hear her talk about that, because I'm like, that is iconic. And it's something that I think she's rather humble and doesn't really like boast around very much. You know, Mariah Carey will like laugh about it and be like, you know, she's the queen. But Britney doesn't really do that. It's all very subtle.
Yeah.
And so it was nice to hear her say, like, I was proud of this work that I did. I worked really hard.
That's so true. And like, yeah, I just feel, I mean, I was going to say as an artist, but honestly, as anyone, like, you know, the energy and the time and the, just like the blood, sweat, and tears that go into any project. So when it does do well, it's just such a good feeling. And it feels unfortunate from our point of view, because I feel like she's never really gotten to bask in that like victory until hearing her say this. Like, I don't think I've ever seen her be so proud of or heard her, I guess, be so proud of something until now, which is so crazy to me when you think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it definitely sounds like underneath all that, like, sure, the beginning was a lot of fun and she was living it up, but then for the most part of her career, like, I feel like she just wasn't able to like enjoy her success, which is unfortunate, because she keeps saying, she's like, everyone around me, my entire family was out living their life. They had all the money and they had the house I provided them and they had all this stuff, yet I was like caged up. And I'm like, that is so unfortunate.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
On, I guess, a lighter note, it is crazy because you're right. Like, that album, like, I remember my oldest sister had Baby One More Time. She also had the Spice Girls album, which I also loved. But my other sister, I have two sisters, so my other sister would play Spice Girls on repeat. Like, that was her album. I played Baby One More Time on repeat.
Yes.
So much so that I think it was my birthday the next year, either birthday or Christmas. I think Oops, I Did It Again came out around my birthday or like in March. Anyways, when the next one came out, my sisters gifted it to me.
Okay.
So Oops, I Did It Again was like my first album. And
oh my God.
The first one I owned of hers. Yeah.
Wow.
And after that, they kept buying me every album whenever they came out because they knew how much I loved her.
Yeah.
And it really was like, as a little kid, I remember the cover with the beads and she's walking through, and I like low-key wanted that in my room so bad. I was like, I want the beads so bad. But yeah, it is, to be honest, that era of her, and even as, you know, even through like In the Zone, like Britney and In the Zone, I'm a Slave for You, obviously, like seeing her perform the way she did, that is one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to start dancing.
Yeah.
You know, because then I got to middle school and me and my best friend at the time would watch all these videos and like watch all the dancing. And I was like, she is amazing. Like, this is amazing. Like, I want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And that's really what took me to dancing. And I think I just have this like love for her, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree. I have a love for Britney that I don't think will ever go away. You know I hear people talk about Cher, I hear people talk about Madonna, and like Diana Ross is like a lot of people's queen. Right. And I feel that, you know, even though, you know, Diana Ross probably had a longer track record in terms of work than Britney did, I have that same connection to Britney as well. Like just the music, the type of music, the dancing. No one was doing it at the time. It was something new, and no other music sounded like that before or even around that time. Like, I feel like people are still trying to do the Britney Spears sound, and like no one does it. Even when Glory came out, I'm like, this is still very Britney Spears, and none of the imitators, who I also love, sound it's not the same.
I think when you think of like that era of pop girls, right, and people always say like, oh, like so and so is bringing that like 2000s pop girl vibe, a big part of the image that comes to mind, at least for me, is Britney Spears. Because yes, of course, you have like Christina with the vocals, and like, it's not to say that Britney was the only one that could dance, but she was really, it also has to do with the music. One, she was really performing it in a way that nobody was doing. Like, she was giving it 200% on stage. Like, nobody was dancing like that, you know? But you're right. Also, the music, they really experimented with it a lot. Like, I think, I think it was In the Zone. They really started playing, like, they brought in different like elements of different genres of music.
There's always a couple tracks on a Britney album that are like very different from the rest of the album and the rest of her work. And the only person I can think that even is quite similar is Janet Jackson.
I was literally that's so funny. That's what I was thinking about.
Like, Janet invented what Britney Spears did.
Right.
I don't know. I remember buying Janet albums too because I love Janet, but I didn't love every single track like I loved every track on a Britney album.
So when was the timeline of when her and Justin split up?
I think it was Britney.
I think
it was around because didn't she see him backstage at some award? Was it the VMAs with the snake?
Yeah. Oh,
was it that one or was it a different award show?
I do remember her mentioning that she saw him backstage. Yeah.
She saw him backstage and it was, I guess him and Christina were presenting an award. Mm-hmm. And Justin and Christina were on tour at the time together as well.
Right, yeah.
The photographs were like kind of sexy. And she said like, even if it didn't feel like they were pouring salt in the wound, like it still really hurt.
Yeah. I think for her, it was just really hard to see him like that with anyone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I would imagine just because she was really, really heartbroken. And I know that she mentioned that after that breakup, like she just wanted some time because she obviously was on the go, you know? Like they were touring next show. And she was just kind of like emotionally drained. So she was like, I just need a second to process this. Also, then Justin comes out with Cry Me a River and that just poured salt on the wound again.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just a whole thing. So I think the burnout definitely started after that.
Yeah.
And then really built up as they kept pushing her to do more and more.
Yeah. And then she met Kevin Federline.
Right.
In or around the Onyx Hotel tour. Oh God, it was heartbreaking to hear that she didn't love the Onyx Hotel tour.
I know.
I still watch numbers from the Onyx Hotel tour.
I know, me too.
And it was so. It looked like she was having a blast.
She really sold it though. Oh my
gosh. She did. She made me believe that she wanted to be there. But she even said in the book, she was like, I wished that something would happen that would cause the tour to end. And sure enough, she like busted her knee again.
Because she had busted it before when she was doing Sometimes.
At the very beginning, and sometimes I was recently watching the rehearsal video for Oops, I Did It Again VMA Awards. It's like a 30-minute video that just got released. And in that, she's like on the floor in rehearsals, slashing her hair around. And like in between takes, she's like, oof, this really hurts my knees. And I was like no one's listening. Like no one is listening.
Well, and you know, she does mention, because remember like in that part of the book where, you know, she is doing the performance with Madonna, and Madonna's like, well, my suit needs to be fixed. So they're waiting 4 hours for the suit to be fixed. And she goes, you can do that? That blows my mind. Like, I can't believe that until that point in her career, she had never really realized that you could do anything like that.
Right.
And she even mentions being on set for like, I think it was Baby One More, or no, Oops, I Did It Again, or one of those, that she was just waiting and they like had her waiting and she's like, well, do I have to be here for this? And like, yeah, we need you. But she was never the person to speak out and be like, absolutely not. I'm going. You guys call me when you're ready.
Yeah.
You know, like you guys are not prepared, because you know the other divas would have done that.
Oh my gosh. In the Zone and Out All Night, one of the rehearsal videos just got released for that too.
Yeah.
And I think they might have aired this clip, but she was like, they were doing rehearsals. She stops the music. She's like, turn the music up.
Yeah.
Turn it up. We are in a nightclub. Please turn the music up.
Yeah.
Very firm, but nice.
Yeah.
She like goes to reset, and one of her people was like, such a diva, Britney. And she very kindly and sweetly was like, I'm not a diva. I just know what I want. And she kind of just played it off and was like super kind. Mariah Carey would have fired that person.
Would have fired.
I just think that Britney is inherently a kind soul.
Yeah.
And so I do think she got taken advantage of.
Yeah.
I also think there's like a balance, like listening to what other people have to say, like, but also standing your ground. I'm sure if she knew what she learned from Madonna when she was performing with the snake, she would have been like, I'm not carrying that snake. I'm not getting in that cage with that lion or tiger. Like, but
oh my gosh, yeah.
those are some of the things that we all remember that made it so iconic. So like, it's this balance of, do I listen to the people around me or do I stand my ground I just think Britney was kind of this person who was just like, I'm doing what everybody says. Like, this is my job.
Which is so crazy because those are the most iconic moments that you think about when you think about Britney. But like to think that she was not in the zone to like do that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It blows my mind because I'm like, well, I do agree. There's a balance. Because, like, if those moments didn't happen, would it have been as iconic as it was?
Who knows?
Right? Who knows? But also, like, it does break my heart because one of the things I love so much about her and have always kind of loved is the fact that she does come off so kind and has been that person, you know? But it just is so unfortunate that in the industry that she was in, that is not a realistic way to approach things, which I hate because, like, I don't know. I just hate that that's the way that the industry is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or that it seems that you do have to, I guess, be more assertive, which isn't a bad thing. But that she got taken advantage of for being nice, right?
Right.
And it is like, that's why I think we're realizing it more now with more, I guess, women in entertainment standing their ground. But at the time, it was just like, you know, the women in the industry did get so much slack for like fighting back.
Mm-hmm.
And people were saying they were either a diva or like mean or like, you know, a witch or whatever, like all these things. But I'm like, no, you had to be.
Yeah.
You had to be that because you could not take that BS from anybody.
Right.
Like Madonna especially, you know, got so much, you know, criticism for being sexual or for being this and that. And like, she fought back with every comment.
Yeah.
Which is like what made her such a good entertainer, famous person, you know, celebrity, which made her a good celebrity. And I think Britney even says that she's like, I just was never good at being famous like that.
After the burnout started to come, what she describes as sort of like a breakdown.
Yeah. She met Kevin. She had the kids. She had the boys.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really when a lot of things changed for her because she had these boys that she loved so much and like they were her world, and then they got taken away from her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for her that was really like what ripped her heart out.
Yeah.
You know? And that's kind of when I guess what she starts describing as the breakdown.
Kevin took the kids 100% of the time and was refusing to let her see them. And one of Britney's friends at the time told her, after she cut her hair, she said, if someone took my kids away from me, I would have done a lot more than get a haircut.
Mm-hmm.
I would have burned the fucking city to the ground.
Yeah.
And I completely agree.
Yeah.
I don't think anything will fuck up a parent more than something happening to their child. That doesn't mean death, but just anything.
Yeah, anything.
And that was the beginning of,
oh my God.
hey, her family then stepped in. I don't know if it was with good intentions at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell from the book. I hope it was her dad trying to help. But the conservatorship started then.
Yeah, I know. I also agree. I hope that it was with good intention. Hearing how her father was with them in the past, and then hearing how how hard he was on her brother, and then her, of course, later we get more into it, but it just, it's so unfortunate because she's like, all I ever wanted was a father who would just say, I love you for who you are. And like, I will love you unconditionally. Like, I will love you no matter what. But she never got that from him. Instead, I remember from the book when this was later on, but when he comes in and she had her like bowl of receipts. Do you remember?
Oh my God, yes.
Oh my gosh. And she's like, I like was trying to prove to myself that I could still do these things. But anyways, he like moved the bowl of receipts aside, or he like threw them away, whatever, and was like, now I call the shots. I'm Britney Spears now. And I was like, oh my gosh, what? That is
wild.
so like wild.
They are selling shirts on BritneySpears.com that say, I am Britney Spears.
No way.
Can I wear that shirt? I don't think I can wear that shirt.
I was like, I don't know that that's a good quote to pull from the book. That's
I know.
what her
I'm
dad
like,
said when she
yikes.
was like, he is evil.
Yeah, I know. I remember when there was custody, something or other, court order. Britney had to like prove to the court at one stage. She didn't mention this in the book. Kevin was asking for more money or something, and she was like, no.
Yeah.
They pulled like her bank statements and stuff, and it was like the top 5 merchants were like Walmart, Target, Subway, like normal ass places because Kevin was like, oh, she's shopping at these extravagant stores and doing all these extravagant things, and she was like counting receipts so she could do her taxes accurately and shopping at Walmart and Target, like normal people stuff.
She was even saying, she's like, if I wanted a pair of shoes, I had to literally ask for them and I would get denied. Like, you are making all of this money for all of these people, and yet no one's letting you buy your own pair of shoes. Like, that is not okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Her requests for things during the conservatorship blew my mind too, because like at that time she was burnt out of like performing. She mentioned the fire sort of died, and part of the Femme Fatale tour was, hey, if you go, or no, but was it Circus or Femme Fatale, one or the other, if you go on tour and like her dad was like, if you show the court good behavior, then you'll get to see the kids. So that was like the bargaining power that her dad had over her. Whether or not that was true, which probably no, she was like, okay, I guess I'm going to do this. And that's why Circus Tour was blah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, but
it wasn't the same as the Onyx Hotel tour. Femme Fatale, the HBO special, I can hardly even watch it. She's not having fun. No, it's not fun to watch. And then things she requested during Piece of Me, she was like, hey, we've done this now for a year and a half. Like, let's mix up the show. Let's do a remix. Let's do a different song. Da da da. And they were like, no, we'll have to retime the whole show. That's not possible.
Like,
and
why not?
What they retool shows
all
every
the
city.
time.
Beyonce's retooling her show every other show.
Yes, I'm like, what do you mean it's not possible? Like, that is so crazy.
Around that time, there were other things that like felt cheap to me from her team as well. For example, when the My Prerogative DVD came out, which was like her greatest hits, I was clicking through the DVD because I was like so excited for this. It's all her music videos. I'm like thumbing through the menu and I'm like pressing down, 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 down. I press down and it goes like the menu like goes over to the right. I'm like, that's really weird. There was like a typo in one of the booklet things, and I was like,
that's so bad.
This felt rushed. This was meant to make money. I don't know. It didn't feel like it was for the fans.
And it is unfortunate because like you see again the other pop divas at the time or just in general, and for the most part, especially the ones who are assertive and outspoken, are for sure going to be in that room being like, no, yes, like that. I do not look good there. That does not look good there. Blah, blah, blah. And people are going to listen. Yeah. With an instinct. And she would even say, remember, like she did have a point in the book where she was like, before the conservatorship, I would literally, everyone would wait for me. And I would put my finger up and be like, let's go hit it. And she's like, after that, it was all, we'll tell you when we're ready. Yeah. And then here she is tucked away. Again, I just remember this scene in the book. Obviously, by herself, isolated. I think she was in a rehab center. One, she hated her family at this point, but she just was so lonely that she calls her mom. And her mom is out shopping with like whoever else. And she's like, oh, honey, I gotta go. We're like shopping. And she's like, I'm literally alone right now. Like, you guys are out here, sorry, but spending my money. And I'm tucked away like that. It literally is horrible.
The expectation was to off stage, be obedient, do exactly as you're told, eat what we tell you to eat, don't eat gummy bears or fried chicken or whatever other examples she said. So she was like, in those moments, I felt like a child. I felt like a little girl. They were telling me what to do and I was being obedient so I could see my kids. Yeah. And then they would plop a wig on me, a spandex suit, push me out on stage and tell me to be sexy like a woman. Yeah. And she's like, literally, I was being a girl and then being a woman and then being a girl. And she's like, I can see how she had such a hard time finding a sense of self because what in the world is that recipe? It's a recipe for disaster.
It's like, how are you going to allow her to tap into that without giving her the freedom to tap into that? Right. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you can't shelter somebody like that and then expect them to have this whole persona on stage. Yeah. Like, a part of that is, as artists, I understand, like, when you get on stage, you are performing, you turn it on. But, like, a part of that is you know? Like, it comes from within. Like, Absolutely. From the root of who your person is. And that's who comes out on stage, and that's who is, I guess, for lack of a better word, like exaggerated on stage, you know what I mean? But it comes from that. So I fully understand why she was not able to tap into that. Yeah. Every point in this, every time, like you said, that they were told like, or that she was told like, you have to do this tour and then you'll see your kids. You'll have to do this and then you'll see your kids. Like everything she did was for her kids, just so she could spend some time with them, just so she could see them. And a lot of times it was not granted to her. Like after that tour, they were like, okay, we're going to need you to do this now. And she was like, no. Like the agreement was that we were going to go on a trip with the kids, you know, but it was taken away from her so many times. And it was, unfortunately, the bargaining chip that her dad had on her. Yeah. And that just crushes my heart because all she wanted to do was be with her kids.
I know.
You know? Like, I cannot imagine a mom or a parent not being able to see their kids like that.
Right. And like her form of rebelling against what her dad and that team was putting her through was because they wanted her to go on stage, be sexy, thrash around her hair. And she was like, that's exactly what I'm not going to do. She basically was quiet quitting.
Yeah, literally.
She basically was going on stage, doing what she had to do to get the paycheck, see her kids. And she apologizes in the book. She apologizes to her fans. She's like, I know you all paid to come see this and this is what you deserved from me. And she's like, I was doing this to my dad and I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think also I would imagine that most of her like fan base, especially the big fans, knew that she was going through some stuff.
Absolutely.
So like I don't think anyone really necessarily was like, oh my God, she's a horrible person for doing that. I think everyone was just like, I think everyone was concerned.
Yeah. I went and saw Piece of Me more than once, and it was different too. The energy was different. She even talks about it. Like at the beginning, she was like kind of burnt out, and then kind of in the middle when Glory came out, she was feeling more excited, and then it faded out again, and that's why Domination was canceled.
To have someone who I think was just born to be a star and had that fire of like I can't imagine as a dancer, let's say, like having this big old passion. I mean, I left my full-time job to pursue this dream. I can't imagine then getting to the point where like it's just all stripped away from you and you just hate it.
Right. You now hate something that you previously loved.
That you loved. And that like was bringing you joy, success. Like it's a perfect mix of everything. Like it was your life.
Yeah.
Also, I do think a big like topic in the book is that contrast of like male and female celebrities and how they're treated, because you know, she even says like it was hard after the breakup with Justin to do all these press tours because she's like, I would see, or maybe even before, but she's like, I noticed that the questions they were asking him were so different than the questions they were asking me. So like half the time they would talk about my breasts, if I had plastic surgery, and they wouldn't ask him any of that. You know what I mean? Like nothing superficial or nothing of that nature, where it was like at the time. Now, gratefully, things are different where you can't really just ask people that, right? But at the time, it was just so normal to treat women like that.
Yeah.
And as opposed to the men. And she even says, she's like, I was not, you know, out here gambling my money away and doing all these drugs. And I wasn't trashing hotel rooms. And I wasn't like causing a scene. I was going out with my girls. I was living my life. I was, you know, I was going through an emotional time, and yet she got so much shit for everything that she did. Yeah.
Even still today, I just can't believe what certain people are scrutinized. So these people are scrutinized for, and then all these other bitches get hall passes.
Oh, 100%.
And I'm like, I can't. Is it a good PR team? What is it? Why are people getting hall passes?
Why are people getting hall passes?
For beating in people's faces.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you still have hits on the radio and you're winning fucking Grammys.
And half the people, sure, there are people who are like, absolutely not. But half the people are like, yeah, we still love his music.
I don't want this to be like an NSYNC bash.
Right, of
session
course.
Because I love Lance Bass.
Yeah.
And I love what he's done in WeHo.
Yep.
The Justin Timberlake of it all really rubs me the wrong way.
Me too.
There are too many touch points with this guy.
I just also think, unfortunately, and maybe, you know, maybe you can say he was young and naive at the time too, and maybe it was his team, whoever it was, like also telling him to do these things. But like, I do think that he could have had a bigger voice in some of those aspects, especially after the breakup. Not letting certain rumors kind of go around or not saying certain things, because she was like, he was telling everybody that I broke his heart, that I, you know. So then in that interview with Diane Sawyer, she was like, he's going around saying that you broke his heart. Like, what did you do to him? And I'm like, why is he going around saying that?
Right.
He was the one cheating.
And I don't think everything needs to be a multi-page notes apology on Instagram. But there is something to be said for admitting that you were wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, he was a kid then. Yes, he was probably listening to his PR manager being like, hey, you need to spin it this way so that you end up on top, that you don't, that it doesn't come out the other way. I just don't think the amount of effort that it takes to be like, it sounds like Britney Spears was really hurt by what happened between us, and I am gravely sorry, and I hope that she is doing well with her family.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work on my family as well.
Right.
Literally, it's a 3-sentence.
Literally. Right.
Like, you don't have to say much.
These things happen all the time in day-to-day normal people life, right? Not to say that that's any better because the people around you might have the same reaction, but it is heightened because of who you are. But I think anything that these celebrities do in any of the situations that they do, people have opinions, and that does trickle down. It makes you feel some type of way, and it's kind of that acknowledgement to oneself of like, okay, he apologized. Maybe I should kind of, acknowledge what I've done. I don't know. I'm not saying that that's directly in alignment, but a lot of times just seeing things out there in the open kind of open your eyes too.
Yeah.
It is hard because sometimes I feel like with these celebrity apologies and stuff, it's very much like, hey, I'm sorry I did this, and then that's it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, look, I'm not saying that you should do it because just to do it. Like, I don't think you should do it just to do it. I just would hope that he would do it because he feels some type of way too.
Right.
You know what I mean? I just kind of wrote down some quotes that I was reading or like looking through again, because some of them I just thought were kind of like, I don't know, funny. And then some of them because just hearing her say that, or, reading her say that, whatever.
Yeah.
Hearing Michelle Williams say it, I don't know. Just kind of really put things in perspective. But one of them that I thought it made me laugh, but also I was like, honestly, do you, boo? was this quote, and it says, in that moment, I made peace with my family, by which I mean that I noticed I never wanted to see them again, and I was at peace with that. I was like,
so
that could be a meme. Like, that could literally be a meme, because I also get it though. Like, when she's explaining everything, I'm like, absolutely. Like, I would also not want to be around the people who caged me up and like, prescribed me to lithium and did this whole thing, whatever. So, and I'm someone who's very, very close with my family. Like, we're all super tight knit. So, it's not easy for me to say like, yeah, like, F your family, whatever. But also, like, I also am somebody who is aware that, like, if that dynamic and that environment is not good for you, and I mean really not good for you, you have to do what's best for you to take care of yourself. Because if you stick it in, or if you stick it out just because it is your family and you think that's what you're supposed to do, like, it's only going to drive you to the ground.
When there are no options, you have to take care of yourself.
Yes, exactly.
And her family left her with absolutely no options.
One quote that I just like hated, or just brought like hate, I guess, like a fire in me. She said, and I believe she was talking about her dad here. She's like, as if gaining weight was something unkind I had done to them personally, a betrayal. Because they really were treating her like that. They were like, you can't eat all this. And like her dad would tell her like, you're getting fat and like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, to get to someone like that, your daughter.
Right.
And to make them feel, again, like they're an object and all they are is like, you're going to make us money. Yeah. I think that sentence in itself, like the betrayal of it all.
I can't imagine someone telling me what to eat.
Not
or
at
what
all.
Not to eat.
Yeah, no, exactly.
At that point, it had been happening so long, it probably didn't seem unusual because they were telling her everything that she had to do or not do.
Growing up in that career, she probably was told a lot like, oh, well, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. And unfortunately, she was the kind of person who wanted to make everyone happy and be the good girl and like do the thing. So she was listening, you know? And it just got to the point where she was listening a little too much. Yeah.
And by the end of the book, it sounds like she's not super interested in making new music at this time, which I completely understand. Yeah. Even though that's what I want. I mean, I'm like, she's 42. Like, please make more music. Yeah. I mean, you could do it. Cher just came out. Dolly Parton just came out with a new album. Right. You can do it whenever. Yeah. But I loved Glory. Go stream Glory right now. It's literally so good. So good. It's one of my top 3 favorite Britney albums. What are your top 3
Oh my gosh.
favorite
Wait,
Britney
also
albums.
before, I
Okay.
love that her son's named Glory. Or like she was like,
Yes.
they said you should just call it Glory, and she was like, okay. I'm like, oh my god, I love that so much.
I know.
That just made me love it even more.
I know.
Oops, I Did It Again, I think will always have a place in my heart because that was the first one I owned of hers, and I played that on repeat.
Yes.
Okay, there's a lot of good music there, but I think for me, the prime of like listening to her was Oops, I Did It Again, Britney, and In the Zone, because those three albums I think were just. I think also the reason being those three albums were definitely like, again, my sisters were buying them for me as they rolled out. So I was like having them and I was really obsessed with them. And that's when I really like became in love with her as a performer and a dancer and all that good stuff. But I think there was also a point after that when I got into middle school where I remember thinking like, I can't like Britney because that's too flamboyant.
Oh, yeah.
So I gave all of those CDs to my sister. And I was like, I know, but listen. I was like, you can have them, it's okay. And she was kind of like, okay, sure. Like, she's not a huge, like, she likes the music, but she's not. I was like listening to them religiously, and she was just kind of like, okay, sure. And like, it got to the point that when in high school, after I came out, I like came into her room and I was like, where are my Britney CDs? I need them now. And she was like, I don't know. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, how do you not know where they are? And she's like, I don't know. They're probably in the garage. And I'm like, oh my, like I was devastated. I was like, how have you not, like, what are you talking about? So I like went into the living room or the garage, dug them up, cleaned them out, and I put them back in my room.
Oh my God. Yes.
I was like, yeah. So anyways, I think that there's also that factor of like where I was in my life. But I think those three albums are definitely like top three for me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's really good. And really interesting. I would say my number 3 album is Britney.
Okay.
My number 2 album is Glory. And my number 1 album is Blackout.
Oh, Blackout's so good.
Blackout is so good. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, Circus and Blackout, like, but Blackout is so good.
Yeah.
I do love that album.
The criteria for my top 3 is like the volume at which I listen to them in my car.
Okay.
And I would say
Ooh.
like those are the 3 like stompers, bangers, like love them.
Yeah, it's so real.
So good.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I literally, this last time I drove up to LA, I listened to Oops, I Did It Again, like all the way through.
Yes.
Watch me now. I'm going to be on Blackout and Glory next.
Yes.
I already know it's going to be the next one.
I love seeing people on YouTube or dancers, choreographers like retooling new choreography to old music. Oh my gosh, I love it. Love it.
I know. And like even on TikTok, like a bunch of mashups that people do. Like there was like I think it was In the Zone. There was a Britney like pony one that went like pretty viral and stuff. And like I love seeing it all.
Yeah.
Also because it like for me as a dancer, you know, getting to do like dance challenges on social media since I do that a lot, but like getting to do ones that are to Britney always just fire me up.
Yes.
So, like, yes,
so good.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
good.
it's so fun.
To wrap up, I have to say Britney is my number 1 queen.
Oh my God.
Is she your number 1 queen?
Yeah, she's my number 1 queen.
Really?
Absolutely. 100%. Like every time anybody would ask like, oh, who's your dream artist to dance for? Like, who's your pop girly? You know, like obviously you have some people are Beyonce girls, some people are Donna Summer girls, some people are like there's a huge range.
Yeah.
Past, present, whatever, you know? But yeah, I grew up on Britney Spears and she was always somebody that I wanted to dance for.
Yeah. She's super inspiring.
Absolutely.
Definitely a good read. And I think this book honestly sounds like a closure to this chapter, maybe the
So I get it.
starting or continuing her healing process. I have a prediction. I don't think this will be her only book.
I do not think this is her last project at all.
Same.
But I do think, and if it is, hey, girl, live your life. Like, I get it. But I do think, especially the way she closed it out, was like, she just needs some time to be free and live her life.
Absolutely.
Which I'm like, live that life, girl. Like, you've gone through so much. Like, you deserve that time to, like, heal. I do think, like, even seeing her kind of how she was with Glory and how she got, like, fueled up again and her passion for it all started to come back, I would hope that she would kind of have a spurt like that again where even if it's not for the money or whatever, just purely for creative like juices, you know?
Yeah.
That she would have some sort of project, whether it's a book, whether it's an album, whether it's whatever it is, you know?
Yeah.
But I would definitely hope that that creativity still lives in her.
Yeah, I
you
hope
know?
so too.
Yeah.
And it sounded like she like feels alive when she's like teaching dance to kids and like
yeah. Oh, that was so cute.
yeah, so like, you know, it could be something along those lines, you know.
Right,
Who
right. I
knows?
agree. Opening a dance studio. I don't know.
Yeah,
Whatever it is.
yeah.
Definitely recommend. Worth the read. It's an adventure to go
Yes.
through that with her.
Oh my gosh. She does a really good job of like, I was like empathizing with her. I was in the book.
100%.
Feeling it. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks for the chat.
Yes,
So
always.
nice.
Thank
All right.
you.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.